Retirement will expose you if you are not structurally ready. Retirement is not gentle. It is revealing. Many accomplished professionals believe they are prepared for retirement. But retirement has a way of exposing the gaps we did not see while we were still in office. And that is what I want us to think about today. Welcome to Second Act Naija. This platform is dedicated to a conversation that many accomplished professionals eventually face, but few discuss openly. What happens after the title? Across Nigeria and beyond, many men spend decades building careers, leading institutions, and shaping organizations. Yet, when the season of transition approaches, very few pause to examine identity, structure, and purpose beyond office. Second Act Naija exists to explore that transition thoughtfully. Because retirement should not arrive as a surprise, it should unfold according to design. Today, I want us to reflect on something very, very important. In my observation, retirement tends to expose three areas of life that many professionals underestimate while they are still in office. It reveals our identity, it reveals our daily structure, and it reveals our sense of validation. Now, let us examine these three issues carefully in what I call the retirement illusion. Before we expose those three areas, we must first understand a common illusion. Many professionals just assume retirement will simply be an extension of their working life. They believe their networks will remain active. They believe their influence will continue. They believe their schedules will remain naturally busy. But this assumption overlooks something important. Your office provides many invisible structures for you. While you are in office, your calendar is organized, your calls are returned quickly, especially if you're a big man or big woman, like we call them in Nigeria. People seek your opinion in matters of work, even in some matters that are not matters of work, in personal issues. Your presence carries authority. Many of these things feel normal because you have grown in them for 30, 35 years. So they feel normal while happening. But they're not simply about you. They're about the position you occupy. They're about the office you occupy. So now let's examine the three exposures I talked about before. Exposure number one, identity. The first thing retirement exposes oftentimes is identity. For many professionals, identity becomes closely connected to their titles. When someone asks, "What do you do?" the response comes quickly. "I'm a director. I'm a managing director. I'm a general." Over time, these titles become part of how we understand ourselves. But titles are temporary structures. When retirement arrives, the title disappears and a quiet question emerges. Who am I now? That's a quiet question that emerges. Who am I now? Those who have built identity beyond position adjust very well at this stage. Those who have not may feel uncertain. Retirement simply reveals the difference. Exposure number two, structure. The second thing retirement exposes is structure. For 30 or 40 years, most professionals live inside a highly organized environment. Your calendar is managed, meetings define your day, deadlines demand your attention. Your time has a rhythm to it. All of a sudden, retirement arrives. Suddenly, your calendar is empty. Suddenly, the rhythm disappears. At first, this may feel like freedom for you. But after a few months, the absence of structure can become unsettling. Many retirees quietly realize something important. A structure that guided their lives for decades has suddenly vanished. Successful transitions require designing a new structure intentionally. Exposure number three, validation. The third exposure involves validation. While in office, validation happens frequently, often in subtle ways. People seek your advice, your decision influence outcomes, your presence carries authority. Sometimes you're even a counselor to your subordinates who have marital issues. But after retirement, the nature of validation changes. People still respect you, but fewer people now require your decision. Your phone rings less often, invitations become selective. This is not disrespect. It is not disloyalty, like many Nigerians like to call it. It is simply structural reality. Retirement reveals whether our sense of worth is based on position or personal value. Gentlemen, let us have a moment of reflection. Let me ask you a simple question. If your title disappeared tomorrow, who would still seek your counsel? Not because of your office, but because of your wisdom and experience, because of the fairness that you had while you were in the workplace. Your answer to that question reveals something important about your transition readiness. Designing stability before retirement. The good news is that retirement does not have to be destabilizing at all. When preparation begins early, the transition can be both smooth and meaningful. Here are three practices that can help that preparation enormously. Practice number one, define your value. Ask yourself a simple question. What experience do I carry that others can benefit from? Perhaps mentoring younger professionals. Maybe you have the experience of advising institutions, or you can teach leadership lessons, or you have a lot of institutional wisdom that you can share with other people. When value becomes clear, influence can continue even after office. Practice number two, design your weekly structure. Successful second acts include intentional reading. For example, time for mentoring, time for reading and learning. Make out time for advisory engagements, time for health and exercise, time for family relationships. Structure protects both purpose and dignity. Without structure, time quietly disappears. Practice number three, define your contribution. The second half of life offers something many people overlook. That is freedom from institutional constraints. You don't have to report at the desk 9 a.m. every day any longer. So this freedom allows experienced leaders to contribute in new ways, whether it's in mentoring younger professionals, whether it's in advising organizations, whether it's in writing and teaching, whether it's in supporting communities, community work. Many leaders discover that their most meaningful contributions happen after retirement. But that is only if they designed their second act intentionally. Let us try and summarize what we have discussed today. So, retirement ultimately reveals three things. Number one, it reveals our identity beyond our title. Number two, it reveals the structure of our daily lives. Number three, it reveals the true source of our sense of value. When those areas are prepared intentionally, retirement can become one of the most fulfilling phases of life. In closing, retirement is not the end of usefulness, but it is the end of automatic relevance. And that is not a threat, it is simply clarity. Titles eventually pass to others, positions eventually change, but wisdom, experience, and contribution can continue to grow. The question is whether we design our second act intentionally, because retirement should not surprise us. It should unfold according to design. I take that again. Retirement should not surprise anyone. Rather, it should unfold according to your design. Reinvent, rebuild, rise. Thank you for watching.